All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about something Yordenis Ugas said in an interview for the Errol Spence Jr. fight. Actually, Errol and Yordenis Ugas said it, but it's specifically interesting as it applies to Yordenis Ugas, who tells Terence Crawford that he's the shot caller if he beats Errol Spence Jr. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be again on the welterweight division, my favorite division in boxing, the deepest division in boxing. Whole bunch of fighters to love in the welterweight division. Errol Spence Jr., Terence Crawford, Yordenis Ugas, Virgil Ortiz, Jaron Ennis, Keith Thurman, all kind of dudes in that weight class that really can fight. Love talking about the welterweight division. In this particular one, though, we're going to talk about something Yordenis Ugas said about and to Terence Crawford. Now, before I do that, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. If you are new to the channel and you've not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and also make sure you touch that bell icon and select all notifications so that you can get notified of when we release more videos. Thank you very, very much. And also, before you leave the video, at the end, hit that like button. All right, so politics in boxing, some people like to talk about it. Other people don't like to talk about it. Usually people don't like to talk about it when it doesn't suit their fighter. That's what my impression is after having thousands and thousands of boxing conversations with people. But in this instance, I think that it is illustrative because in a press conference with Errol Spence Jr. and Yordenis Ugas for their fight, a reporter asked Errol Spence and Yordenis Ugas if the winner of that fight thinks that they are then the calling the shots in the welterweight division. And Errol Spence Jr. answered the question in a way that you knew Errol. If you knew Errol, if you listen enough Errol Spence Jr., you know how he's going to answer that question. His answer to that question is, I'm already the shot caller. That's just what it is. I'm running this division. I'm the man in this division. And anybody that says that ain't true, I think is just being dishonest. Errol Spence Jr. is one of the biggest names, biggest four names in boxing for sure. You got Canelo Alvarez. You've got maybe Tyson Fury, even though I think Tyson Fury, there's a lot of fluff to that one. Errol Spence Jr. and Gervonta Tank Davis. Those guys right there are the biggest names in boxing, without a doubt, in my opinion. I don't see how anybody can really make an argument that there are other fighters who have bigger names or bigger draws than those four fighters. And really, Errol Spence Jr. is probably at I have a suspicion he's a number 2 behind Canelo Alvarez, ahead of Tyson Fury, until Tyson Fury really proves that he can sell on his own in the UK and bring in really big, a bunch of big shows over there in the UK, which he very well may do. I'm not going to say he's not. I got Errol as the number 2 guy, the number 2 biggest name in boxing right now. And that's not just in the welterweight division. He's bigger than anybody below the welterweight division, and he's bigger than anybody named Canelo below the heavyweight division, right? So for him to say that he's the shot caller and all of that stuff, that is, I agree with that. That's not anything that anybody should have an issue with. Yordenis Ugas, on the other hand, when he said, yes, if I beat Errol Spence Jr., I become the shot caller and all that, to me, that is not true. That's not right. That puts him right into pretty much the same situation as George Kambosos. Just as George Kambosos beat Teofimo Lopez, that did not make him some superstar. Just because Teofimo Lopez beat Vasily Lomachenko did not make that man some big superstar. Yordenis Ugas beat Manny Pacquiao, who before he retired was probably the biggest name in boxing if he had somebody they could match him up with who was still a super fight, right? But beating him did not give him superstardom and all of that stuff. He's the guy that beat Manny Pacquiao. If he is able to beat Errol Spence Jr., I'm telling you, it's going to be the same thing. He's a guy that beat Errol Spence Jr., and a whole bunch of people are going to basically say, that he exposed Errol Spence Jr. or something like that. But he does not have that fan base. The fan base that really does make you the guy that can say, okay, I'm going to take this fight. I'm not going to take this fight. I'm going to fight you for this amount of money. I'm not going to fight you for that amount of money. If Yordenis Ugas beats Errol Spence Jr. and there's not a rematch, Terence Crawford is not taking the B side to Yordenis Ugas, because the bigger name between Yordenis Ugas and Terence Crawford is going to be Terence Crawford, period. Terence Crawford, when you compare him to Errol Spence Jr., yes, he is the B-side to Errol Spence Jr. He is not the B-side just to any old Joe Schmo running around in the sport of boxing, because although he did not have tremendous success on his pay-per-views, he's still one of the most widely known and most supported fighters for a very big promoter in Top Rank. His ratings on TV have always been good when they've allowed him just to fight on ESPN. And really, there are some questions for me about how well his pay-per-views would go if he wasn't fighting on pay-per-views with Bob Arum, who really didn't believe in it, who probably didn't invest a lot of money to make sure that the pay-per-view did well, right? Similar to what Bob Arum is saying he's doing for Tyson Fury, and making sure that his pay-per-view is available on every cable network that there is in the United States, while he had Terence Crawford fighting on an app, right? So, when I heard, I wanted to wait a little bit of time before I started talking about it, but I have to just nip that in the bud. Errol Spence, I have to nip that in. I have to call BS on it. I want to say Bud because that's Terence Crawford's nickname. Terence Bud Crawford, if he fights Yordenis Ugas, even if Yordenis Ugas beats Errol Spence Jr., that is the guy that still should be talking about 60-40 with Yordenis Ugas, because he will definitely be the number one dude in the welterweight division, and the guy that Yordenis Ugas would need to beat to really prove that he is the top guy, that he's one of the top guys in boxing. And honestly, man, I will tell you, though, I don't see it even coming to that, because I don't think he's going to get past Errol Spence Jr. However, I will say that I definitely support him, and I think he's got a chance at beating Errol Spence Jr. depending on what happens on. It's kind of like on an any given night type of situation. You don't know what can happen, and you don't know what can happen in the fight. But as I see it going, I see Errol Spence Jr. winning that fight. But you don't transfer. You don't necessarily, because you win a big fight, you do not necessarily, adopt the other person's fan base. For example, Floyd Mayweather Jr., I don't think ever really adopted Manny. You have to solidify your own fan base in order to make that happen. And I think that Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford really when they fight each other, they're going to solidify a fan base. The American black fan base, or American fight fans that really do appreciate great fighting, if those guys fight one another, the winner of that will more than likely solidify that really, really big fan base and be set up to go over there and get fights with other dudes with big fan bases, if they really existed in those weight classes, because I don't really think that there are. Maybe Virgil Ortiz, if Virgil Ortiz really, does well and can build up the Mexican fan base for himself, the winner of maybe a Virgil Ortiz and Errol Spence Jr., or if like that could really, really launch somebody off. But those guys right now are all pretty much fighting to consolidate the same fan base, which Errol Spence Jr. right now has the lion's share of. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.